carpe message do you want to tell those with the gift of youth?
So yeah, in Arabic, shabab, the youth. I think if we look at the meaning of the word, as I was taught, they said that it shares. If you look in the dictionary, Arabic dictionary, it shares the word with a spark. A spark, and so a spark of a spark is about its potential energy. It has the potential to be to light a fire, right? So a spark can be something which is incredibly constructive, or it can be incredibly destructive. So a fire can cook your food and feed your family, or a fire can burn down your house. And so and also a spark is very fleeting. It comes and it goes very quickly. So the importance, the emphasis of young people should be to really seize their youth and capture it, and to channel it, channel all the energy and the optimism that comes. A lot of old people, they're just very depressed, and they're just very jaded, exactly, and have a very bleak output, very bleak sort of outlook on the world. Oh, this doesn't work, or we can't do that. But being young, we have this, and this is something which I really believe right now, and I hope I always believe it, is that we can, and you as an individual, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve, whatever it is. If you wanted to paint the Petronas Towers pink, you can do that. Why not? Don't let anyone say you can't. And it's possible. Anything's possible. And to really give that message that you can do it, whatever it is you want to do. And then you really think about what you have to do, I think it was Bruce Lee, maybe someone else, he said, don't do something because you can, do because you must. You must do this. And when you figure out whatever it is that you must do, then khalas, just put all your energy and all your life behind it. And it sounds a bit cheesy and cliche, but it's true. And really, I've seen how that's possible. And unfortunately, a lot of young people, we're just not told this. When I grew up, I wasn't told that. I had an opportunity to study, for example, at Oxford University. And I remember I went there when I was 17 years old, just before I applied to medical school. And I went for a taster course. I think I spent 3 days there. And I came out, and in my head, I thought, this place isn't for me. People like me don't go to places like this. That was my conclusion. Because there was no one telling me that, you belong here, or you could belong here, or you could own this place, or you could do just as well as anybody else here. So that message that you really can do something, and you can do whatever you want to do, I think we really need to embody that and live that.
In Singapore, there's a Muslim society group in each university. Membership is healthy during school years, but the numbers dwindle greatly after graduation. So how do graduates retain their passion and activism, and what advice do you have from your own experience and as a youth leader?
That's a good question, and when you find the answer, let me know. In the UK, we also have the same problem. People are very active when they're young, and then as soon as they graduate and they get married and they have children, they kind of disappear, which is understandable because there's a great one of my teachers, he told me that it's more important that you look after your family and you do good to your family than you sacrifice yourself for the community at the expense of your family. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "As-sa'a wa sa'a," right? An hour for this, an hour for that. When he was advising one of the companions who had spent all his time in the masjid and he was neglecting his family, the Prophet ﷺ said, "No, you have to spend time with your family and time in the masjid," and so on and so forth. So maybe it's a good thing. People are. We have to always have a positive, husnul dhan, good opinion. Maybe that these guys who disappear, that they're being very, what's the word? Maybe they're serving their families. Maybe not. So I think I came back from Umrah recently, about a few weeks ago, and they said one of the signs that your Umrah is accepted is that your life changes, that you become a better person, a better Muslim. And one of the signs that your Umrah is not accepted is that you return back to your old sort of ways. So I guess you could apply the same to your activist type people. That I think the best people who are doing things for the right reasons, sincerely, you'll see them consistently producing and giving afterwards. And you know, it's not easy. It's not easy to juggle things and to balance things, and especially having a job. I know ever since I started working as a doctor, I come home, I'm exhausted. I'm physically exhausted, and you know, I have a new appreciation for weekends. I never understood what a weekend really was until I started to work, right? But I think there's so much responsibility that we have, especially having gone through that experience and having gone through all the activism world, and we build up a lot of experiences and networks, and it's important to channel that and to give that back, but also to raise the game, you know, and now to do something different and to go beyond what people were doing before, you know. I think it requires a bit of courage, and also requires a bit of foreplanning. You know, our organizations, our student organizations need to be thinking about alumni programs. You know, we have in the UK, alhamdulillah, through the Muslim student, it's called FOSIS, Federation of Student Islamic Societies, FOSIS. So I used to be part of the executive, and now, alhamdulillah, the committee have set up the alumni program, and they're sort of connecting all the alumni and giving them opportunities to give back. So yeah, it requires something from all sort of angles to develop a system where people can continue to give back. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned that you just came back from Umrah, so how was that experience? Was that your first time?
Yeah, so it was my first Umrah, and it was really an incredible experience. Alhamdulillah, I've been to places all over the world, and this is the one place where I felt I just wanted to go back, you know, straight away. I want to go back, and it's incredible that you know, my whole life that I read about these places, you know, the Kaaba and Safa and Marwa and Mecca and Medina, and it's just out there in the distance, you know, and all of a sudden it became real. You know, I'm standing in the Haram on the white marble. I'm looking at the Kaaba. I was very fortunate to go with one of my teachers, Sheikh Hamza Yusuf. So he was with us, and we did the Umrah with him, a small group of us, maybe 15 of us, and yeah, I would recommend everyone to do it as soon as you get the opportunity to do it. Really go and prepare yourself and make the most of that opportunity, because it's this whole legacy that we belong to, you know, and you know, they say, like, one of the books I read about the Umrah, it was saying how the angels are always making tawaf, and when you make tawaf and when you go around the Kaaba, there's the hadith which says that if you imitate a people, you are of them. And so there's this understanding that when you are making the tawaf, that you are like with those angels, because you are imitating them, in the sense that you are part of that community. And just to be part of that legacy and to be part of that heritage, and to understand that you have this massive, and it's not just 1400 years, it's since Adam, every prophet visited this place, right? And they say it's like the primordial pilgrimage, you know, that every tradition has, every religion has a form of pilgrimage, and yet we have, even in the Bible, they talk about the valley of Bakka, and it's mentioned in the Quran, also Mecca is called Bakka in the Quran as well. So we're very fortunate to have that history, and inshallah, I pray that everyone gets the opportunity to go there, and if you do go there, please pray for me as well.
So what other things are you up to now besides working and having this label? Like what plans do you have?
So one of my main projects now, we have an organization called the Leaf Network, and what are we doing now is to reach out to Muslims. I'm primarily focused in the UK, but inshallah we're also extending elsewhere. Is to look at Muslims who are contributing to society in whatever way, looking at the best young Muslims in the media, in journalism, in academia, in the arts, in sort of politics, in community activism, in interfaith work, in women's rights issues, campaigning, lobbying, and there are a lot of people there who are very passionate and who are contributing at a high level, but they're not connected to the community, because unfortunately the Muslim community isn't the best at facilitating that, you know. So basically we're headhunting and we're looking at these people and we're bringing them together to learn from each other's experiences, and also we're creating platforms for them to interact with the highest levels of Muslim scholarship, and to sort of you know, what we've taken from our teachers is this idea of taking scholars of text and scholars of context and bringing them together so that they can learn from each other. You know, it's very important that our shuyukh and our scholars, that they know these young people. We have Muslims who are heading for senior roles in parliament, you know, or who are speaking to millions of people on television and as media presenters or making documentaries. And these people are experts, you know, they're young people, but they're very professional and they know their field. And they have something to say about what does it mean to be a Muslim in the West, of the West. And so their story, you know, for example, we have you know, one of the young Muslim women, she's 27, 28 years old, and she was awarded, she was the Young Journalist of the Year, right? So she was awarded in the entire country, I think it was last year. She was the best journalist for a documentary she made for the BBC, and she's Muslim. So what's her story? How did she? What, you know? How did she get to where she got? You know, where was the community helping her? Where was the Muslim community a barrier to her success? What messaging from scholars were helpful for her? What messaging from scholars were unhelpful? What more would she like to see from the Muslim community? So I think it's really important that we reach out to those people and we help them and support them, and especially as they're coming up, because when they reach the top, then they know that they can give back to the community. So this is what my focus is now, to sort of create those platforms for people. There's so much we can just learn from each other. Unfortunately, we have some really fantastic teachers from all over the world who come to the UK, who come here to Singapore, but we're not seeing the result that we want to see. We're not seeing the young Muslims contributing. So there's some gap. So my philosophy now is that let's take the people who are already contributing and let's see how we can support them. You know, I think it was Umar radiallahu anhu who said that the best of us in Jahiliyyah was the best in Islam, right? So in the same way, the Muslims there who are already, people even not Muslim, people who are already contributing, you have people who are really passionate about social welfare or about global poverty or about the environment, who aren't Muslim, and what they're doing is very Islamic. You know, they're doing it with a real passion and a real sense of caring for the world, and so these are also part of our community. Yeah.